pharmacist looked at Hulk Hogan and said something no one expected to hear. "You should be dead." That wasn't a joke. It wasn't exaggeration. It was a warning. And what made it even more shocking was what Hogan admitted next. This wasn't about one pill. It wasn't even about a short period of time. This was something much deeper. Something that had been building for years, long before anyone outside his inner circle realized how serious it had become. By the time this moment happened, Hogan's body had already been through more than most people could handle. Years of wrestling had taken a visible toll. Multiple surgeries, constant injuries, and ongoing pain had become part of his daily life. It wasn't temporary anymore. It was permanent. And that pain didn't just stay physical. Behind the scenes, things were starting to fall apart. When Hogan joined Total Nonstop Action Wrestling in 2009, many fans saw it as another chapter in his career. But for him, it came at a time when his body was already struggling to keep up. According to those close to him, even basic movement had become difficult. Eric Bischoff described it clearly. The pain wasn't occasional. It was constant. There were days when Hogan couldn't even get out of bed on his own. Someone had to physically help him stand, walk, and prepare just to make it through the day. And that's where everything started to shift. Because when pain becomes constant, people look for ways to escape it. At first, it's manageable. Medication prescribed, taken as directed, something to get through the day. But over time, tolerance builds. The same amount doesn't work anymore. And slowly, almost without realizing it, the line starts to move. For Hogan, that line moved further than anyone expected. He later revealed exactly what he was taking. Not small doses, not occasional use, but something far beyond what most people could even imagine. And that's when the pharmacist saw it. Not just one prescription, but a combination so extreme that it immediately raised alarm. The kind of dosage that, for most people, wouldn't just be dangerous, it would be fatal. That moment wasn't just a warning. It was a sign that something had gone very, very wrong. And the reality was, this wasn't even the worst part. Because what pushed him to that point had nothing to do with wrestling. It was something much more personal. What people didn't see at the time was how quickly everything started to unravel behind the scenes. The same year Hogan stepped into a new phase of his career, his personal life was falling apart. His divorce from Linda Hogan wasn't just a separation. It hit him harder than anyone realized. It wasn't just the end of a relationship. It was the collapse of something he had built his life around. And when that happened, the physical pain he had been dealing with was no longer the only thing he was trying to escape. It became emotional too. That's when things started to spiral. Hogan later admitted that he didn't handle it well. There was no gradual decline. It was sudden, intense, and it pulled him into a place he hadn't expected to go. He started drinking more, taking more pills, not for recovery but to numb everything at once. Days blurred together. What started as a way to cope turned into something much more dangerous. He described it himself. Felt like falling into a hole. And once he was in it, it became harder to get out. The fentanyl use increased. Not slightly but dramatically. He wasn't just relying on one form. He was using multiple at the same time. Patches, pills, lollipops, at levels that even medical professionals rarely see. He admitted to taking 80-milligram fentanyl doses, placing them under his gums. At the same time, he had high-dose patches on his body. And alongside that, he was given fentanyl lollipops, each one carrying an amount that alone would be considered dangerous. Combined, it created something far beyond normal medical use. And that's when the pharmacist said it. "You should be dead." It wasn't a guess. It was a reaction to numbers that didn't make sense. But the most dangerous part wasn't just the medication. It was what was happening in his mind. At one point, everything reached a breaking point. The pressure, the pain, the emotional weight. It all collided at once. And in that moment, Hogan found himself sitting alone, facing a decision he never thought he would have to make. He later revealed that he had a gun in his mouth. That's how far things had gone. That's how close it came. And for a moment, everything could have ended right there. But it didn't end there. Somehow he pulled back. And for a while, it seemed like things were stabilizing. From the outside, it looked like he had survived one of the darkest periods of his life. The career continued. Public appearances continued. The image people recognized was still there. But what people didn't fully understand was how much damage had already been done. Years of pain. Years of medication. Years of pushing the body beyond its limits. Those things don't just disappear. They stay. And over time, they build. Even as life moved forward, the past never fully left him behind. Relationships remained complicated. The connection with Linda Hogan never fully recovered. There were moments, small glimpses of what once was, but nothing that brought things back to how they used to be. And then something happened just days before everything ended. A simple post. A throwback photo. Linda shared an image of the two of them from years earlier, captioned, "The good old days." It didn't seem like much at the time. Just another memory. Just another post. But looking back, it feels different. Because only 4 days later, Hulk Hogan was gone. Unexpectedly. No warning. No final moment for the public to process. Just gone. And suddenly, everything people thought they understood about his story felt incomplete. Because behind the fame, behind the legacy, behind the larger-than-life persona, there was a reality most people never saw. The pain. The struggle. The moments that nearly ended everything long before his actual death. And maybe that's the part that stays with people. Not just how it ended, but how close it came to ending so many times before. Because sometimes, the most shocking part of a story isn't the final moment. It's everything that almost happened before it.